Yes, welcome to the No Stay Project, live from the fortified compound. Yes, we are still in San Bernardino, where there were two real 6 point up earthquakes in the last couple days. So that's always nice. That's always fun. Let's get a little bit centered there. And I'm screwing things up in a major way, but hey, it's the No State Project. Tech issues is what we've got going on over here. That's what happens, and I'll have to announce it again as people start filing into the big show. In that, I have had a horrible week in and out of the hospital, and some other things going on. I'm going to be kind of cryptic about. Stahl, yes, hello, my Canuck friend. It's not going to be as cryptic to someone like Stahl, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but I'll get into that. But it was one of those weeks, and I did not get the adapter that I need for my caller line because I can't hear anything because these things don't last that long. And so it's kind of the 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch adapter for my mixer. And it just kind of slipped my mind because of all the things that were going on. So I do apologize. I will not be able to take calls. Yeah, you're still shocked. Who would have thought this? It's not technically, it's, I don't know if I would say it's a classic example of the tech issues here on the No State Project. It just, those in the know, like Stallion, there's a lot going behind the scenes here. And it just, yesterday was crushing. Wasn't able to get to the Guitar Center and get that, again, that's example of what that damn thing is. This is why I can't take callers today. This little piece here, which is really unfortunate. But again, Skype is Frank Rizzo 3, and I will take questions and comments there. Again, I can't take calls, but you're more than welcome to send me questions on that. You can also, if you're watching the stream, of course, you can also just put in the comments in the chat there. You can put your questions. It has been one of those weeks, and there will be somebody missing from the chat from now on, which is, I got to tell you, wow. Yeah, shake, rattle, and roll. I kind of what hit this last, yesterday was, how do I put this? How do I put it into words? I've been seeing polar opposites of life and death, and it is quite a stark contrast between these two. And I just how. All right, it's a difficult time. It's a pretty difficult time, and so bear with me here, and I'll do my best to get through this because it does tie in. That's why I tentatively called the show "Do Ethics Matter?" And I want to thank everyone. Before I get into this, I do want to, of course, thank everyone for their continued support. Chris in California, who probably didn't feel the earthquakes. He's a bit too far from the epicenter. But I appreciate that. And Bill and Dan in New Hampshire, Nelson, Don, Mark, Eyal. I do appreciate, especially this time when I'm spending, I am taking care of elderly family, which, which is kind of a punchline for somebody. I'm probably going to start blocking from the YouTube channel just so I don't have to see hateful comments anymore. Life is too short for your hate. If you don't like my material, fine. I don't get, if you've got an issue, if you've got an argument where I'm wrong, yeah, that's great. But hateful comments and using the situation that I'm in as a punchline, I don't, life is too short for your hate. So if I'm at a point in my life where if somebody wants to say that they want to lie and say that I'm not really for dissent because I blocked them after a year of hateful dishonest comment. It's YouTube. I don't, I have a forum that people are welcome to join. And most of the time you can call in. The fact that I block somebody on YouTube is not censorship. So there's always going to be, people out there that are irrational and, so what yeah, Rika, hey there. um, okay, so what am I getting at here? Why is this such a difficult week? Uh, I am taking care of my elderly father-in-law, and he's 95, and it's pretty. It is heartbreaking to watch somebody that you love and you've known for decades, winding down. It's a natural process. It's part of life. Death comes to us all. There is an old saying. I don't know who said it. Paul is saying, am I taking calls today? No, I'll keep repeating this as we go through. I am not going to be taking calls today. I can't do that. I had an absolutely horrific week, and I was not able to get this adapter. So this is the offending piece. So, so I apologize. I will get that. And we should be good to go for calls on the Wednesday show. But if you've got questions for me, put them into the chat and I will address it. And you can also go to Mark Stevens, Frank Rizzo 3 on that there Skype, right? Unless the Skype is locked up, which is very possible. How things have been going. No, the Skype is there. So anyway, there was a saying years ago I heard. I don't know who the author is. I don't know. Verbal armament, somber day. Damn right. Don't begrudge having a deathbed because it is a privilege denied many. And that's where we get to, as bad as it is to watch a loved one wind down, it's an expected thing. Most people don't live to 95. And it's just what the body does. It starts to wind down. The memory starts to go, organs start to fail, you lose your appetite, and you spend most of the time asleep. But it is sadly true that a deathbed is a privilege denied many. You think about all the tragedies in the world, a busload of children in Yemen. Yeah, I know I say that. You've got Jamal Khashoggi, who's butchered while he was alive. But you got to still do business with these so-called crown prince because, money. They have a lot of money. So I got to be cryptic here, but someone that I had helped do some work for years ago was murdered yesterday by somebody very close to her. What do you do? It's just one of these things where you cannot believe. I've worked with someone, I won't use any names, but the U.S. Attorney's Office in Connecticut, the same office that drove Aaron Schwartz to kill himself, drove this woman to kill herself. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. So one of the details there was that, and it was a tax case, and while the wife was out, the husband and wife were both indicted, and the wife was out, was out on OR, own recognizance. She wasn't bonded out, as far as I remember. She was out. I think I remember it was OR. But they would not release the husband, who was actually sick. And so we had worked on a habeas corpus. And before it was even processed, I believe that a magistrate had ordered the release of the husband from custody. Well, according to the wife, this did not sit well with the prosecutor. And the prosecutor literally ran upstairs to the supervising judge over the magistrate and got the order reversed. No reason given. Not that he was violent, not that he was a flight risk. He was a sick man needing medical attention. And because of the incredible stress, just like what they did to Aaron Swartz of Reddit, this woman took her own life. What happened yesterday is worse because it didn't involve this woman's choice. She was murdered. And yeah, there was stress on this poor woman who committed suicide. But at least we can say there was somewhat that it was her choice to do that. How brutal it is that somebody else can make that choice for you. So I don't want to go into much detail. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I would imagine that the show was going to come under some scrutiny. But it's a really, really evil people. That's why I asked the question, do ethics matter? I've talked about this on the ethics on the show for a long time. I'm an anarchist because of ethics, not because I was an angry young man and it was just a cool thing to do. It was ethics. It was logic. It was reason. And if you use those tools, you'll come to the same conclusion that lying, stealing, and killing, hurting other people just because you call yourself a government is wrong. It's unethical. And I've noticed a very distinct pattern that there's always going to be a small handful of people that when you talk about ethics, don't hear the whole message. They want to start screaming that you're a social justice warrior or you're virtue signaling. That's right, because when you call out and say that murder is wrong, you're virtue signaling. And you start to, when it's people that you've known for a while not getting the message, you kind of start to doubt whether your message, that your communication skills are not where they should be. Someone saying, why is he no longer on LRN? I am on LRN.FM. I'm in the podcast part of it. The live show doesn't go live anymore because I am in California so often. It just wasn't working out. I couldn't do live shows every week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, to get back to the ethics, because I think it was a lack of ethics that obviously led to the tragedy yesterday, and just hate. And the idea that we can just keep scapegoating people for all the world's ills. There is evidence to actually show that there is a group of people who are very violent, and almost completely unaccountable to the victims. We call them government. And you can see every day these people getting away with horrible crimes on a level that the most recent, most persistent boogeyman just cannot do. And we have far more to fear from those co-government than immigrants. This racist ideology that everything, racism. Yeah, it's that it's the immigrants. I'm so tired of hearing this. It's the immigrants. Oh, it's not Lloyd Blankfein doing God's work and destroying the economy, a small group of bankers. No, it's not the Federal Reserve and how dishonest they are. No, it's not the CIA. It's not the federal government. It's not the state and local governments. It's not McDonnell Douglas providing all these munitions and aircraft to bomb innocent children in the Middle East. No, it's poor immigrants. I think ethics matter, but I don't think ethics matter to most people, because you see it get played out on the political stage every day. Well, what are we going to do? They spend a lot of money here. So I've noticed that I talk about that, the ethics. There's a small handful of people that persistently lay on the hate. Look at the facts. Look at the damn evidence. Think. I don't know. I've come out and I've said that I'm all for ethical capitalism. And then I get accused of being a goddamn... I talk about being ethical capitalism, to be consistent with live honestly, injure no one, give every man his due. And I'm called a communist. I'm also accused of being anti-money, that I'm just against money, that I piss and moan and rant and rave and scream, and because I am bitter and I don't like that people have money, even though I deliberately go out and I say I'm against acquiring money unethically. For some reason, that part of the damn message is missing. It's no different than when people who are statists and you start pointing out, hey, if I was to do things just like these government types and I was to force strangers in the community to give me money, would you consider me a criminal? And then they pile on the hate, attack the messenger. Don't examine the actual facts. Don't look at that. Don't look at the actual argument that's being raised. No, just Mark hates money. It's not my message not being clear. The message is clear. Some people just aren't getting it. And I can't just keep tailoring the show to a handful of people who just refuse to understand what the hell I'm talking about. You know, I don't like the idea of money at all costs. So there are people that are ruthless. They're absolutely ruthless when it comes to money. It doesn't matter who is destroyed in the process. I got mine. I got mine. It was just business. This is scenes from The Godfather. See, Sonny, it's not personal. It's business. He shot 2 people in the head. It's just business. No, it's murder. And this, I got to stop repeating myself there. I'll still talk about ethics, but there are certain parts, certain acts of ethics that I will not discuss on the show anymore, because the hate is absolutely off the charts. Instead of discussing the ethical part, it's just, oh, you're a social justice warrior. Oh, you're virtue signaling, you hook-nosed Jew. Oh, please, let's address the actual argument. If someone has a disagreement with me, address the actual argument. My position is that I'm against the acquisition of wealth. My position is I'm against the unethical acquisition of wealth. And I give detailed historical and contemporary examples of that. I've mentioned on the show before Ford. It's documented. They made a calculated monetary decision. It was cheaper to settle wrongful death lawsuits than to retool the factory. And okay, I've gone out of my way and I've repeated myself. And there are still people that get it wrong. And I can't just keep repeating myself. If you think, after all the times that I've said that I am all for ethical capitalism, and you still think that I am against capitalism, there's not much I can do. Okay? I think ethics matter because the success rate, the success stories that I have at markstevens.net, in my opinion, the reason why we have so much success is because we are exploiting the unethical and immoral nature of the system. We are showing how unfair it is. And it doesn't matter where we are. It is taking rational secular ethics. This is why whenever I have when I have a discussion, especially if we were talking about abortion, I make it very clear, because there's usually a knee-jerk reaction and people just automatically assume you are against abortion because you're a religious zealot. And I said, no, it's rational secular ethics. So just it's a branch of moral philosophy in which ethics is based solely on human faculties such as logic, empathy, reason, or moral intuition, and not derived from supernatural revelation or guidance. Yet I'll still be accused of being a hook-nosed Jew. I'll still be accused of being a religious zealot. No. I'm not someone, I'm not this rich and popular, someone like Ben Shapiro, who admits that his position on morality is based on his religious views, and he seeks secular and logic consistent, to back it up. I don't do that, but I get accused of it anyway. But there's always going to be people who misunderstand. Secular ethics refers to any ethical system that does not draw on the supernatural, which includes humanism, secularism, and free thinking. A classic example of literature on secular ethics is the Chorale text authored by the ancient Tamil Indian philosopher Valavar, who lived during the 1st century BCE. Secular ethical systems comprise a wide variety of ideas to include the normativity of social contracts, some form of attribution of intrinsic moral value, intuition-based deontology, cultural moral relativism, and the idea that scientific reasoning can reveal objective moral truth known as science of morality. Secular ethics frameworks are not always mutually exclusive from theological values. For example, the Golden Rule or a commitment to nonviolence could be supported by both religious and secular frameworks. Secular ethics systems can also vary within the societal and cultural norms of the specific time period. And so by using reason and logic, okay, and also empathy, which, yes, I know it's a feeling, but it can be measured. It's objective. You can see the difference in the brains of a normal person as opposed to a psychopath, and you can see in objective proof in brain scans that the empathy part of the brain doesn't light up. It's different. The brain is physically different. So for anybody who doubts for a second that the success that I and others have replicated across the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and England, we've had success in Ireland and in Germany. If you doubt that it's because we are exploiting how unethical it is, then you're wrong. It is how grossly unfair it is. That is why we get these things tossed out. It's unfair. What they're doing is fundamentally unethical or immoral. Why? Because I know for a fact, I can tell you that these police officers, these judges, these prosecutors do not want to be treated. They do not want us treating them the same way that they treat us. They do not prescribe to any kind of consistent moral ethic or or ethical principles. The idea, okay, their moral principle is I got mine. They don't give a damn. And the only saving grace that we have is that the majority of these useful idiots, these king's servants, these tools of the ruling class, is that some of them think they're the good guys, and they they make it look good. Now, when you get a piece of garbage like Dick Noble, who doesn't care, you have no remedy. When you have a lawyer named like Dang, who is with the California Board of Tax Appeals, who doesn't give a damn about the appearance, you have no remedy. And that is not proven by saying that I'm an anarchist. Oh, you're just anti-government. No, the facts. They're threatening a $5,000 fine for an absolutely accurate and valid argument, and allowing the Franchise Tax Board to lie. They didn't dispute they lied. They didn't throw their hand up and say, excuse me, sir, we didn't lie. They never went back to correct the record after all the, I think back in October. I have a video with it. They're not disputing they're lying. They don't have to, because their moral code, their rules of ethics don't require them to. They don't need to. They have a prison system. So when we go into court, and I'll spend the rest of the time I have left on actually dealing with court. When you are going into court and you are defending yourself, the big thing that we're doing is pointing out how unfair it is. So an example is the police officer is making legal determinations against you. Now, I think they're legal. It's synonymous with legal conclusion, but some people have a hair up their butt and they like to split that hair. Only judges I don't care. They're making legal determinations or legal claims. They make these legal determinations every single day on the street with a damn gun on their hip, which they draw all too often. And they're allowed to testify and make those statements in court against you as if they're true over your objection. But then when you ask them for the facts that those legal determinations are based on, all of a sudden they're screaming objection, that they're not qualified to answer that question. So let's get out and not even discuss the legal minutia, because I've done that to death. Let's just discuss the fact that when you ask the witness for the facts his claim was based on, his prior statement, and what led to the arrest, when you ask him that, his own lawyers are going to say he's not competent to answer the question. That's really what's important there. They're saying he's not competent to answer that question, which was for the facts. And the fact that they take his testimony that you violated the law, they take it anyway, is unfair. That is not ethical. It's wrong. It's dishonest. It's wrong. And even by their own rules, it's wrong. So that is a great example of showing that all I want to do really, well, I want to be left alone, is I need to go in there and show how unfair it is. It is unethical, even by their own standards. The Rule 3.1 is generally what the rule for lawyers and prosecutors will be, where they are not permitted to argue without evidence. Now, that's going to vary. I get it. But 3.1 is generally the one you're going to find it. But they don't apply it. Is it fair to allow a witness? Is it ethical to allow a witness to testify against somebody that, if the testimony is taken, could cost the person their life. I met someone the other day. He's homeless now. Why? He did 22 days in jail. His life was destroyed. You can have your life destroyed by being put in jail for 5 days. They don't care. So it's not fair to, because even by their own rule, no one may testify unless proof is introduced that they have personal knowledge of the matters. They know that witness doesn't have personal knowledge. So not only is it unfair and dishonest for them not to disclose that, but my gosh, they put him on the stand anyway. What's the line? I love Al Pacino. What did you do? You put that lying bitch on the stand. I'm a lawyer. That's what I do. I win. For those who aren't, the 3 or 4 people who aren't aware of what I'm quoting, that is The Devil's Advocate. One of the greatest endings ever. Because, man, nobody does anger like Al Pacino. It's that Sicilian blood. I think his family actually is from Corleone. But so it all comes down to these ethics. When we do a cross-examination, we're bringing out that the witness is lying or they're not credible. We're bringing out that somewhere along the line, somebody was being dishonest, and it's usually the lawyers. That's not a matter of opinion. I know from personal firsthand experience, where I'm speaking from personal experience, unlike the police officers and the tax agents, that prosecutors and judges, who are almost universally lawyers, although not nearly as much in the traffic court, are the judges lawyers, but almost I would say the absolute overwhelming majority of traffic court judges are lawyers. They are the ones that are colluding and conspiring together to put that cop on the stand under any pretense, because they're trying to make it look good, because their system doesn't allow for you to be convicted validly without that cop's testimony. Or we're dealing with code violations, traffic kind of things. Yeah, I'm trying to, I'm fairly certain in my own communication skills, and especially since so many hundreds of people have replicated the results in other countries, that I'm communicating this in a manner that people can, are getting. So I'm not going to worry about a handful of people who get the complete opposite of what I'm saying. I will be back on Wednesday live, and I will go to the Guitar Center today, and I will get that damn thing, and I will be able to take callers again. So are superior intellectually to non-whites. I'm not going to tolerate such ridiculous arguments and pseudoscience on the show. I've done that before, and it's not going to be happening again. If somebody, because the show is really about what, bringing about a voluntary society. You think that there should be a white nation, stuff like that. That's got nothing to do with this particular show. So it's not even it's not even a relevant topic of the show. So I don't want to entertain that crap anymore. So let's see. So Paul is saying, we address some of the comments here. Has the stream gone a bit wobbly? I don't know what's going on. I'm using an Ethernet cable, but I don't know. It's a pretty good connection. My judge, Paul saying, Mark, my judge just keeps proceeding and ignoring all my motions. I haven't even entered a plea yet. How do I proceed at my trial? Well, Paul, if the stakes are pretty high and the judge is ignoring, I'm going to assume you filed a motion to dismiss already. And two things here. If you filed a motion to recuse the judge, then, and if we're going to do that, we have to have the evidence. We have to put the facts in to show that even though the judge has made a ruling, okay, this is a very important thing when you want to recuse the judge. It's very difficult to recuse a judge when he's made rulings. So you have to be able to show that his rulings demonstrate a bias so strong that you can't get a fair trial. And I think that's actually pretty easy to do. So, for example, with the plea of the unsigned plea of guilty, if they plea not guilty for you instead of holding the prosecution to their burden, that is evidence, like I've mentioned before, to show a bias so strong because he's actually lying to cover for the prosecution's burden. So, if you have filed a motion to disqualify and the judge has ignored it, it's a little more difficult than if he's denied it to be able to go into the higher court for a writ of mandamus or mandate if you're in California, to have the appellate court stop the trial court and then review the judge's denial. I would say that if he has set the matter for trial and he's the judge assigned to it, you have a de facto denial of the motion to recuse. As long as he hasn't recused himself and he's going to be at the trial, right? So that's what, so that is an option you have if the stakes are pretty high, because it is going to cost you at least $200 to file a petition for the writ. At the state level, I have, especially Arizona, I have always been able to get a stay of proceedings and they accept jurisdiction, at least initially, and stop the trial court. At the federal level, every single petition for a writ, even habeas corpus, has been denied, where they will not take jurisdiction. So, and that's something that if you have any other questions or concerns that I may not address here, you can always email me or Skype me at FrankRizzo3 about that. I'm on my second judge, first recuse. Oh, we did recuse. This one is pulling the same crap as the other one, filed a motion to dismiss, unsigned plea, and limine. Well, you'd also probably, if you filed a motion in limine because there's 30 days have elapsed that the prosecution hasn't responded to the motion request for discovery, then you can also file a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. If the second judge is doing those same things, and you have to file to have them recused also. Then you can use that as if he denies it or doesn't rule on it, then you can use that as grounds for your standing to complain, and maintain a petition for writ of mandamus. Somebody asked here, what do I think about filming the police? Debo. I think it's I think we should. You can get dash cams fairly cheap now. I probably should get one myself. And absolutely. There's even a video where the police pulled over somebody who's a lawyer who is also working as a Lyft, he was working as a driver at the time, I believe. And they didn't realize he was a lawyer, and they were lying. And what cops do, you see, ethics. Damn it, ethics. Gosh, man, the Stoics had it right. They lie. They say that it's against the law to film the police. And it doesn't matter how many times the courts correct them. As corrupt as the courts are, they get that right. A lot of the public relations part of it, they do get right. Unless it's the IRS. If it's the IRS that's coming after you, all ethics, all rules go out the window in their favor. But I absolutely encourage people to film the police. So I even encourage people to go into court and get recordings in court. I know they don't allow it, but hell, they're forcing you in there, and the dishonesty that they're doing in there. I think if you can safely get a camera in there, I've done it myself. I've gone into court with cameras. Hell, I've just taken my phone out and did it right out in the open. I don't advocate doing that. I think we should definitely film the police. They was recently, I mentioned on the show, they had a cop who was on video framing people, putting, saying that there was meth in their car. And so if there wasn't video of that, there's a lot, if there wasn't video of the Slager murder, he wouldn't be sitting in prison right now. He would have gotten off scot-free. Because if a black man or someone, I shouldn't say it's always color, but it's usually it's race. It's not race. It's class. It has to do with being poor. And brown people who are not pasty white tend to be more of the poor class. So when you have someone who's not of the ruling class, who's not wealthy, who doesn't have money, and they're killed, if they're murdered outright by the police, even if there's people that witnessed it, it doesn't matter. You gotta have video of it. But even then, when there's video, because who's prosecuting them? Their buddies, the prosecutors. So I'm all in on filming the cops, even if you don't let them know that you're filming them. And I always want to throw this out. I'm not saying that I've originated this, but one of the things you want to do if you do have incriminating videos of a police encounter, never disclose that you have it or make it publicly available. You make your copies, but you do not post it publicly until after the police give their official conspiracy theory or their official story. Make absolutely sure that they have publicly committed to their side. Then you contradict them with the evidence. Because they're going to lie. Why? Because overwhelming in our society, ethics don't mean a damn thing. And I prove me wrong. The overwhelming majority of the people do not give a rat's. They don't care about ethics. They care about themselves. That doesn't mean everybody, Nani. I said the majority. So obviously there's a good minority of people that are good, honest, ethical people and want to help. It's not all of them. I know generalizations is a real pet peeve of mine. You want to really get on my nerves, generalize. Oh, so yeah, I think ethics matter. I just don't think, in my experience, in my scope, and what I read and what I see, I don't think ethics matter to most people. That's the way it is. I like to be able to change that. That's why I do the show. I want to help. I want people to be able to confront unethical actors and do it publicly, not just in court, but making it a point to call out unethical behavior, not being a douche about it. Of course, being professional. We still want to treat others the way we want to be treated. Live honestly, injure no one, give every man his due. I just don't want this idea that ethics are it's subjective. No, there's real damage that you cause people from being unethical. You go from the very minor to the worst. There's real damage that you can do to people by being dishonest to them. Someone saying, sorry, Paul, file a motion to dismiss based upon the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Bar attorney, oh, good Lord, come on, Paul. Bar attorneys and most judges are bar members and are considered foreign. This is still going on? People are still putting that kind of, I don't know if Paul is questioning that or because someone else is saying that. Public schooling tends to school ethics out of a lot of people. It's probably true. I wasn't taught ethics in high school. That's not a formal class that we have to do. That's something that you get in college if you take if you take a philosophy course. But I'm going to have to end here in a few minutes. If anyone thinks that you can actually prove there's evidence, and I don't mean just by saying it's the British Accreditation Registry. What does that mean? There would be a book, right? There would be a paper trail. If lawyers were foreign agents, if they were agents of a foreign power, there would be a paper trail. This is a holdover for that 90s garbage. There's no actual evidence to that whatsoever. Using Esquire is not a title of nobility. It's because it's not granted by a foreign power. It's just just something they gave themselves. It's like honorable. They called themselves honorable. That's just that's what lawyers do. They gave themselves these titles. It's not like it's coming from the Queen. That would be something if it was a title of nobility, you could prove it. So somebody actually go ahead and prove it. And receiving money and whatnot from a foreign power is prohibited by their own law, sure. But no, that's the thing. It wouldn't even matter if it was true about the Bar Association, because nothing will be done about it. Look what's going on right now. You have the Trump administration violating the Emoluments Clause every single day. Doesn't matter. None of it matters. None of them will be held accountable. Politicians don't be held accountable. The only way to have them held accountable is to tear down the ruling class. And we have to expose them for the unethical actors that they are criminals. How do you do that? I think you ask questions publicly so that people could see it for themselves, that you're not pounding into their head that they're crooks. No, you ask them simple questions in front of an audience. If I was to do and operate in the same manner as you, and I forced people in my community to give me money, would you consider me a criminal? Yeah. Oh, I had the irony of the week is under the video that I did a number of months ago called stupid YouTube comments. Somebody left one of the stupidest YouTube comments, which leads me to believe that maybe they were just being ironic. Maybe it's one of these kids that's going to go whoosh, and that they actually wrote, they took the time to type that I'm an idiot. Well, that doesn't take that long to type, but the rest of it did. The state is a foreign registered corporation. No, it is not. Show me the proof. That which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So where the hell was I? I shouldn't have done that. I lost my whole train of thought there, and I apologize. Anyway, I'm looking at the time, and I do have to go. I want to thank everybody for their attention today, tuning in. I think ethics matter. Oh, that's right. I was talking about the stupid comment. Stupid comment. They actually wrote the Constitution and laws apply because they say so, and judges say so. I'm the idiot. That is, if it's a serious comment, it is YouTube. I'm an idiot because I find fault with it's true because I said so. I may be an idiot, but not for that reason. Not for that. Anyway, appreciate everyone tuning in to the big show today. Little dark matter today, but it's been a rough time. I will be live on Wednesday, and I should be able to take calls. So I appreciate everyone tolerating another show without callers. I will get the podcast up at markstevens.net. Thank you to everyone for their continued support of the show. Chris and everybody, Bill and Dan, Don and Nelson. I appreciate everyone. I do appreciate it. If you'd like to help support the show, it's very much appreciated. It's markstevens.net or markstevens.sells.com. That's markstevens.sells.com. Oh, yeah. Irony. Mark talking about an idiot and then losing his train of thought. Well, I lost my train of thought because I took a comment. I don't think it's because I'm an idiot. But, there's worse things to be than an idiot. I could be a statist. I could be a judge. I could be a lawyer. I could be a politician. So, yeah. Mark Stevens, Chris is asking me, attending Jackfest this year. That is, I don't think so. I would like to, but I would like to, but it depends on how things go. I am taking care of elderly family, so that always has to come first. Mi familia. So, got to come first. So if I'm able to, I will be there, but I will keep asking, and I'll let people know what my schedule kind of looks like. Right now, it's not in the cards. So, but anyway, appreciate everyone tuning into the big show today. We'll be live on the Wednesday broadcast. And so, hey, till then, everybody, salud.